Today is Tuesday, January the 9th, 2024, and this statement is being recorded as a review of the Chevrolet Buick GMC of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. This may very well be the worst establishment of any business in all of Murfreesboro. I bought my truck at this dealership in 2019 and have brought it back many times for routine oil changes and other minor maintenance. Other than the fact that the employees don't seem to want to be there, I've never had a strong opinion about this establishment one way or another. I usually take a book to sit and read while I wait for my oil changes and cycle through the service department with no fanfare, just happy to get the work done and be on my way. My most recent experience with this dealership has completely changed my point of view about it. My truck was due for another oil change and a few other service items, and I made an appointment for the morning of December 12th, 2023. Several days before my appointment, my transmission started acting up and I had to park the truck at home. I called the dealership to see if I could have it towed to them the week before my appointment in hopes they could get me in earlier, and had to leave a voicemail that was never returned. I tried to contact them again on Monday the 11th and was referred to a towing service that could bring my truck in to sit overnight for the previously scheduled Tuesday morning appointment. Later on Monday afternoon, my vehicle had been towed to the dealership. I got a call from a service advisor who acted like it was a surprise that my truck had showed up on their lot, even though they were the ones who told me to go ahead and tow it and gave me the contact of the towing service they recommended. To my befuddlement, the service advisor was aggressive from the outset and tried to talk over me on the phone. As there is a recording telling the caller that the call is being recorded, management should be able to listen and verify this fact. Ultimately, the service advisor and I agreed that my truck would have a diagnostic test and I would be contacted as to the diagnosis and estimate for repairs. Despite already having a Tuesday morning appointment scheduled, I was not contacted that day. I took it upon myself to call the dealership on Tuesday afternoon, was directed to leave a voicemail, which I did, and then waited for a call back that never came. I called again on Wednesday, had to leave another voicemail, and again did not receive a call back. I called again on Thursday and had to leave yet another voicemail, which was also never returned. I called again on Friday, had to leave another voicemail, and so I called back every number I could find for the dealership until I got a human being on the line and explained to them that they'd had my truck since Monday and I had not received any contact or update since then whatsoever, despite my continued daily calls and messages. This phone call was around noon on Friday, December 15th, and I was told that either my service advisor or the service manager would be in touch with me as soon as possible that afternoon. Again, I did not receive any contact back. I am a retired disabled U.S. Army combat veteran and had to pay for an Uber to my medical appointment at the VA hospital that afternoon. When I got out of my appointment after 4 p.m., I still hadn't received a return call, so a friend picked me up from the VA and gave me a ride over to the dealership so I could find out what in the world was going on with my truck. We walked into the lobby and explained to the receptionist what had been happening and asked to see a manager. Despite the fact they had obviously dropped the ball regarding my situation, I was still left standing for a long time waiting for someone to come explain things to me. My patience wore pretty thin as it was now 5 p.m. I couldn't tell that there were any other customers around, and many employees were just kind of standing and sitting around, shooting the breeze and joking with one another while I waited. Eventually, the service manager did come to talk to me and took me back to his office to sort things out. I explained the situation to him, and he seemed genuinely interested in making things right and getting me taken care of. But then he brought my service advisor into the room and tried to question my honesty about the lack of contact throughout the week. They even tested their phone by calling me while I was in the dealership, and it went through to my phone just fine. I then opened my phone and even let the service manager scroll through it for himself to see that I had not received any calls from that number previously. The service advisor said that she hadn't received my voicemails throughout the week, even though I know for a fact I had left them in her mailbox. The service advisor had lied to my face and apparently to her boss right in front of me. Despite this, the manager still let his employee remain as my service advisor and gaslit me about the situation. I was finally told that my truck had been diagnosed and that it needed a new transmission. There was a question of whether GM would cover the replacement under their corporate warranty. The service manager asked me if I had any other documentation to submit for the corporate decision, and I did not, as all of my service had been done through the affiliated dealerships, and this dealership had access to those records in their networked system. They also said that I apparently had some kind of status in their computer system that kept them from communicating with me via text message, which I promptly asked them to change in the interest of better communication. As this was Friday evening, I was told it could be Monday of the following week or later to get the word from corporate about whether they would honor the warranty for a new transmission. On that note, I went home and waited for an update. The word did come back the following week that thankfully corporate approved me for a new transmission. I was then informed that parts would need to be ordered. As we were approaching the Christmas holiday and my family lives in another state, I asked if the repairs would be finished before Christmas so that I could drive it home to see my family. The service advisor would not give me any kind of definitive answer, so I was stuck waiting to see when the parts might come in, how long the repairs would take, and not able to make travel plans in case I needed to be here in Murfreesboro should my truck get finished and need to be picked up from their lot, and in time for me to drive to Florida for Christmas. During the following days, it continued to be like pulling teeth to get the dealership to communicate with me. I believe I was being more than patient and respectful and only called or texted once or twice per day in hopes of some sort of update. Ultimately, Christmas came and went with me sitting at home all by myself in my little room through the holiday. I can't stress enough how disappointing this was to me and my family, especially considering all of the holidays I had to miss with my family while I was overseas in the military serving in places like Afghanistan. I've missed enough holidays with my family, and this situation did not have to be this way this last Christmas. If someone at the dealership would have just been honest and candid with me from the beginning. I would note here that the dealership's website contains a banner claiming to support veterans, but after my experience with this establishment, I find that an offensive point of false advertising and would suggest it be taken down. After Christmas, I inquired as to whether my truck would be finished in time to travel for the New Year holiday. Again, I was strung along with ambiguous non-answers, and once again I was left stuck alone at home and completely missed my window of opportunity to see my family this year. There were a few other maintenance items I'd been meaning to address, so I submitted a list of potential repairs for an estimate on December 22nd. I told the service advisor that while we were waiting on parts for the transmission, I wanted to take advantage of the truck already being there just sitting on the lot to get these other items addressed in the meantime. The idea being that all of the repairs would be done at the same time. Despite my repeated attempts to obtain these estimates for my brake job, failing automatic windows, and radio replacement, I was not given an estimate until yesterday, January 8th. Yes, you heard that right. It took them 2.5 weeks to give me an estimate for a few minor repairs on a vehicle that had been sitting on their lot the whole time. I was given this estimate on the same day that I was told that my truck would finally be finished the next day, which is today, Tuesday, January 9th. I inquired as to whether the other maintenance items could be finished by the time the transmission was done, and the response was that it would take 5 days to receive some of the parts, and the repair time would push the date of completion out about another week. I was flabbergasted that they did not take advantage of the truck sitting there for a month to do this before the transmission was completed, so I could get my truck back as soon as possible with all of the repairs completed. After having my truck for a whole month already, what customer would they think would want to extend that by another week? This speaks to the utter incompetence of the dishonest service advisor I was dealing with, and I highly recommend that she be fired from her employment. I told them that I would skip the other repairs for now and just wanted my truck back. I also called around to the other GM dealers in the Middle Tennessee area to see about estimates for the same repairs I'd submitted to the Murfreesboro location dealer. The other dealerships were dumbfounded about my experience with the Murfreesboro dealer and alerted me that I'd been quoted a gouging price for my list of other maintenance items. The dealers from the other towns quoted me a full $400 less for the same work, brakes, window switch, and replacement, than did the Murfreesboro dealer. I just got back from picking up my truck with the new transmission in it. Though I'd been told on the phone that my cost would only be a $100 deductible, I was charged $285.34 today. The service advisor printed off my estimate for the other maintenance items I'd previously asked about and told me I could make an appointment to have that work done when I'm ready. It's a mystery to me why she would think that I would ever go back to this dealership or ever give them another red cent again. This last month has been a living hell, and I'm even having health issues related to my blood pressure. If I die of a heart attack anytime soon, I hope my family will sue this company. Also, I am currently utilizing my military education benefits to obtain a Juris Doctorate, and at this point would be happy to do some of my pro bono hours representing clients who have claims against this Murfreesboro dealership. In conclusion, I highly recommend you never patronize this establishment. Although I live in Murfreesboro, I will be driving to other dealerships up to an hour away from now on for my oil changes and other services. The Murfreesboro dealership staff have proven themselves to be dishonest, incompetent, and completely unconcerned about customer service. They lie, they gouge, and everything about them says that they have no regard for customers. Besides posting this review here, I am also writing formal complaint letters to the management and ownership of this establishment, another to General Motors Corporate, and turning this dealership into the Better Business Bureau. Save yourself a lot of money and a lot of grief, and go absolutely anywhere else for your vehicle purchases and maintenance besides this sorry, pathetic excuse for a legitimate business. Thank you.